Alright, so you've watched a few videos on the flipped classroom and also the ones about the traditional classroom, and now you're feeling maybe there are some advantages to the flipped classroom, maybe the traditional classroom has inherent problems, but why reinvent the wheel? Why change something that's been done for so long and has worked for so many people? Why do it? Especially when there's going to be problems. You know, there are some problems which are going to come because of the flipped classroom design, and I wanted to talk about some of those things because I feel that a lot of the barriers to this is people that feel that they're scared of the change. First of all, there will be a problem with some students which are going to be resisting this change, especially lazier students which don't usually do things at home. I used to work with teachers that said that, oh, I have no hope for the honors. Honors is one thing, but I have no hope for the regular kids. They never go home and study. They don't do anything at home. Whatever you want to do to them has to be done here in class because at home they forget about school. I refuse to believe in that paradigm, and I believe it's supposed to fit that inside the box. And if that's going to be the case, they can always just watch the videos in class, and they still will get exactly the same class they would always get, the same lecture they would always get, the same experience they would always get. They get to ask questions after the lecture. Everything is the same. The difference is that, you know, you're not depriving the education of the other students in case you have these students. So the lazy students argument is not a good argument to make because you're still teaching, you're still giving the lecture. So if that's the case, they just still get the lecture. But kids which are actually going beyond that and doing the lecture at home allow themselves to open the doors for all the wonderful things we talked about in the advantages video, which is why I would enforce the idea of forget about the lazy students, make this work, go forward, and then you will see something happening. You will see that the lazy students will be like, everybody's having fun. Why am I sitting here doing this? And they will start moving forward from that. And you always have the option of, and it's important to have that, which is educating the parents about what's happening and what's happening with them so that they can get on board about it and help you out, push them forward. Because at the end of the day, even the most motivating classroom, which is, I believe, this classroom can really set you up to be like that. But even the most motivating classroom cannot fix the mentality of a student that doesn't want to learn. So at the end of the day, it's all about the family and the environment they're raised in. But remember that because you're going to give more time for yourself, because the classroom is not longer centered on you, so you're going to become this guy that walks around. You can sit down and talk to those kids which are not doing progress and ask them what's going on and work with them on a one-on-one basis and try to motivate them to do it as well. So there's a lot of things you can do about the lazy students, and there's a lot of wonderful things that happen to the students which are not being lazy, so when you put it all together, that's not enough of a reason not to do it. Another problem that causes headaches is the actual technology problems. You know, access to technology sometimes is a problem that people are worried about not having the bandwidth to broadcast videos in class, or not having devices for the students can do that in class. I'll say two things about that. First, about the bandwidth. Yes, it does take a lot of money to hire a better internet to make sure the students are watching videos in class. However, you can get around that by not necessarily having to have them to access the internet to watch the videos, but you can have that on a media server in your own classroom, and then you can just have a Wi-Fi router in your classroom connected to this media server, which is a little hard drive full of your videos inside of it, and that way the students will connect directly to your server, not to the internet, which bypasses the slow bandwidth problem of the internet if your school doesn't have good internet. So with a media server and a Wi-Fi router, you can solve a lot of the problems. Now with the device end, not having the device for them to actually watch the videos, I would have to disagree with that. 90% of my students actually have iPods and iPads and other computers or things like that. And you can find cheap netbooks for less than $100, especially used ones. And you can also apply for grants to help modernize your classroom. And they're full of examples on the internet of schools which are low-income schools that have received technology grants. And then they get all these computers and they don't know how to use them. And here you have this flipped classroom, which is perfect for that. So, but remember that ultimately they're not really supposed to be watching the videos in class. They're supposed to be doing that at home. That's supposed to be their homework. So if the problem is access to technology, it needs to be a home problem. And there's things to solve that. If the kids don't have internet at home, you can just give them the videos on a flash drive. And if the kids don't have a computer at all, there's always a library, public library, and there's always, you know, the school's library, as a lot of schools have. And I find that when a student wants to learn, he finds a way around it. So And remember that even if he doesn't have the technology at home, he can still use it in class. You should have a backup plan for some kids to watch the videos in class. As long as not all of them are doing it that way, it will work, you know. So you have to motivate them to do it at home so that 2 or 3 which couldn't do it at home can do it in class. Also, there's problems inherent with working with technology because sometimes you don't have the education or you yourself don't know how to do this, but this shouldn't be a barrier. Just because you don't know how to work the technology doesn't mean you shouldn't try to learn how to do it. And in fact, we want to model learning for our students. And who are we to tell them they should learn this stuff if we're not willing to do the same? So we definitely have to learn how to work with the technology, and it is a learning curve both for you and for the people who are going to be using it, so the students and the parents. But after a while, they get the hang of it, and they actually start doing better with it. So, and remember that the 21st century is moving in a direction where technology is going to be important. And so, if you just go with this idea that, oh, I have to focus on other things, I don't have the technology, they don't know how to use it, I don't know how to use it, well, it's about to get on with the times, because if you don't, you're going to be a dinosaur stuck in time. It's important to incorporate the technology and have the kids learn how to use it, because that learning curve is important, because they can't be hitting that curve when they get to actual workforce. We need to create a workforce that is able to use the technology. And that goes for you too. You need to be able to step out of your comfort zone and learn how to work with the technology, which includes tweaking out the technical problems. You know, there can be a lot of technical problems when you do this stuff with technology, and make sure that you have double the backup so you can make sure that everything works when the time comes to use it. Finally, the access to YouTube or other video streaming problems. A lot of schools block access to certain websites like that. There are ways to get around that. There's tunneling. You can research how to tunnel so that you can bypass the school's firewall. I'm not encouraging anyone to do that, but in the end of the day, if that's what needs to happen, you can try to do that. That way, you basically use a proxy server or your own homework or your own home computer to tunnel the connection through YouTube through another website. So that way the school's not blocking the YouTube, because you're not going to YouTube, you're going to a website which is then going to YouTube. So tunneling is a very good thing, and I might do a video about how to do that later. Another thing that you can do is not use YouTube. Use things like TeacherTube or Google videos or other websites which are not blocked, and you can try to do that. I don't like TeacherTube because it's kind of slow, but you can definitely do that. And another one that you can do as well is you can have your videos on the media server. Like I said before, you bypass this whole problem, and you can also make CDs with the videos and distribute around the kids, or jump drives. Have the kids buy jump drives. You can buy jump drives for less than $10 or $5, and then have the videos uploaded to the jump drives all at the beginning of the year, and they have the whole series. So all these options you have are good options if you have any problems with technology, and you can also find help. Email someone who knows, and they'll definitely be willing to work with you. Another problem with the flipped classroom is working against the current. This is not the way that people do it. You know, in a typical school, you'll probably be the only one to be doing this, and so you're going to be resistance from educators, from fellow teachers, from the principal, from parents, and even from the students. So it is working against the current. It is stepping away from your comfort zone. You are going to have to convince the principal, the teacher, and the parents that this is good. There's going to be some envy running around, because when people realize it works, everybody's going to want to do it, but they're going to have the patience to do it, and they're going to look at your students learning and loving your class, and they're going to be saying, what's going on here? Why can't I be the same way? That's when you step in and help them, and so that they can actually go with you into this revolution. But there actually is going to be some resistance. Now, in my experience, most parents, students, teachers, educators, principals, administrators will eventually see the light and see the wonders that this will do, especially when they step into your class and see the active learning and cooperative learning that's happening, and they see the technology that you're using, and they see the wonderful things that everybody talks about these things on paper, but they will see you actually using it. And when that happens, there's very little they can say about it. And even the parents, which initially have those myths about a flipped classroom, which I talked about in the first original video about flipped classroom, they will eventually see the light, and they see that not only are you a teacher still, you are the best teacher your kids ever had. And so go with flipping. It's definitely worth it. It's worth going through this acculturation process. It takes a while for kids to get used to it. You can't just go on the first day of class and like, here, I'm flipping my classroom, get it done. Work slowly. Maybe the first unit you work a hybrid between flipping and the standard. You put the videos online, but you also lecture in class. work them slowly towards the goal of actually having the flipped classroom. So have them go through this acculturation process, but after a while, as you change your school and the people around you, they're going to be used to this new type of learning, which is, in my opinion, the future of education. And if we don't go in that direction, you're going to be out of a job soon. And finally, the time and the money investment is a barrier. It does take a lot of time to spend recording the videos and also preparing activities for the class, because now that you don't have the lecturing class, you have to have stuff for them to do. And it also takes a lot of time to learn how to do things. It takes money to buy the software and the hardware that's necessary. But when you look at the investment of time and money and the product you get out of it, it is definitely worth investing. That is the biggest barrier, in my opinion: the lack of education, the lack of time, the lack of money of people who are trying to do it. But so many of us have done it, and we're not rich, and you can do it as well. And just invest a little more time the first year you do it to record all those videos, but afterwards it's going to be a lot easier, and you're going to transform your classroom, and you're going to find activities for them to do, and you're going to be loving it. And remember, you don't have to generate all the content. You can actually have the kids do it for you. So there are a lot of things people will say bad about flipped classrooms, but I am yet to find a single reason why it's actually bad for you to do it. Because all the bad things people say about it, there's very easy ways to fix it. So go out there and flip the flipped classroom, get it done. And you will find yourself among the best, and your students as well.